Hello, in this video we're gonna take a look at LiteADO.NET and how you can use it as a data access layer to deal with SQL Server database. Before I start, let me just walk you through the environment I have here. So I have a database named TTF, and this database contains two tables, categories and products. Each product must belong to a category, and then I have a couple of stored procedure: create category, get, and create a product. Let me just take a look at one of these stored procedures. It's a simple one. Select start from categories. Okay, so to get started, I'm just gonna install this LiteADO.NET from NuGet. And hit install. Now the first thing, as the documentation say, quick start. So we're gonna get a data table that contain all of the category data, and just to show you a couple of that, I have test blah blah blah, these couple of row in this category table. So the first thing I'm just gonna say data table categories table will equal new query dot execute to data table, and I'm just gonna write simple SQL command, select star from categories, and this command type is text. Okay, now before I move forward, if I execute this query or this statement, I will get an error that tell me that you didn't specify the connection string. And just to catch that error, I'm just gonna write LiteADO exception exe console.writeLine ex.message console.read line. If I hit the 5, I'm gonna get no connection setting with the name default connection was found in the connection string section. If I go back to the documentation, you can see here configuration connection string. So there's three ways, as the documentation said, to specify the connection string. We're gonna walk through each one of these. The first one is create a new a new connection string in the connection setting, and I'm gonna add name will be default connection, and connection string will be the connection string for this database. If I hit the 5, as you can see now, I am getting some data, the whole category table. And there is another way. If you need to specify the connection string at runtime, I'm gonna take this one, close from here, add. Now I'm just gonna send false, which indicate that this is a connection string, is not a connection, it's not a name in the connection string section in the database in the web configuration. Okay, so I'm gonna hit false, and then I'm gonna run F5. I'm getting the same data. If I go back to the app.config here, and I create a new entry named default connection 1, for example, then I'm gonna take this one, go back here, replace it default connection 1, and this time I'm gonna say true. When I say true, that's mean this the query will go to the app configuration looking for default connection 1. If I run my program, I'm getting the same data. So this is when it's come to the connection string. Now let's take a look at the query table here, or the query object. So the query object can get a data set, data table, or a dynamic object, or a dynamic or a list of dynamic object, or a generic object, or a list of generic object, or a generic object. So what does that mean? It means that I can do something like this. Dot name. Can go back here. And say console.writeLine. Okay, and then I can go back here and say execute to dynamic object where id equal id. This time I need to send a parameter to this statement. In order to do that, I can say new parameter id 1. Now this time I should get test, which is the category with the id 1. So if I hit the 5, I'm getting test. Okay, suppose I want to get a product this time. I don't want to get a category. Okay, now if you notice in my table here, product contain a category. All right, so what I want to do here is go to the product here and name product, replace it like this, product, replace it like this. Okay, so I want to be able to type that category.name, because product is a class in my project and it does contain category as object. Okay, so if I run my software now I'm getting error, tells me that object type of integer 32 cannot convert to category, which is basically what he's saying, that I'm sorry, this table say that category is an integer and your class say category is an object of category. Okay, so in order to fix this issue, I need to mark this class as a virgin key. So what will happen now, I'm going to go to the category and set the ID as primary key, and then I will create an empty constructor. And why I am doing that? Because I will create a constructor that will have an integer as an ID, and basically what I'm going to do in this constructor is getting a category object, or selecting a category object from the database by the ID. So I'm going to say query dot execute to object of category, select a star from categories where id equal id, and I'm just gonna say this is a text, and I'm just gonna send parameter as id. Say if category not equal null, this dot id equal category dot id, this dot name equal category dot name. If I hit the 5 right now, as you can see here, I'm getting test and lightado.net. Okay, if I go back to the product, you can see here that 2, which is lightado. I have 2 product and I print the categories. This is the relationship between object. So you're saying that product contains a category object, and this category object is a virgin key. So lightado.net will go to this object searching for a constructor that have an ID, and it will get this ID from the primary key field. Okay, so the next step is executing a query to the database, or actually non-query this time. So in order to do that, suppose I want to create a new category in my database. So I'm just going to say new category equal new category. Okay, maybe I can say something like that. ID will equal 0, name will equal, this is a demo category. Okay, now if we go back to the category here and I open this one, you can see that ID is output. So what does that mean? After you insert a category, give me the ID of that category. Okay, so I'm just gonna say if new non-query dot execute category with the name of category create, and object to map will be my category. Okay, console.writeLine the ID category.id, hit the 5, and as you can see the category ID is 6. If I go back to my database, refresh, you can see here it just gets saved and it gives me the ID of that category. Let's take a look at another topic. Suppose I wanna encrypt this object before I send it to the database. Okay, so in order to do that, I can come here and say encrypted in the top of the class. Now when I hit the 5, he's gonna throw exception saying that encryption key is not set in the app settings section in the configuration file. Create a new key with the name encryption key and set the value blah blah blah. What does it mean? It means you need to come here and say app setting and then go back, because I don't come here and say encrypt key, add key, encrypt key, value will equal whatever you want, hit the 5, and as you can see now, if I go back to my database and refresh the table, you can see now this value saved as encrypted. Okay, of course when you select that object it will be decrypted for you. So if I go back, Control Z, Control Z. Now if I execute my statement, this is a demo category, but in the database it's encrypted. I think this is a good introduction for LiteIDEO.net. You can find more details in alghaban.github.io/LiteIDEO.net. You can find more stuff about how you set your encryption, how to execute the query, how to create your own or custom validation encryption, as you can see in the documentation. That's it from me. Thanks.